Hello and welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton. My name is Thomas, back on the channel today for a match preview for something of a dead rubber at this point in the season, joined by Adam Jones from the Liverpool Echo once again. So it's a loss against Sheffield United, 2 games left, 3 points behind West Ham, Manchester City on the final day of the season. Adam, how hopeful are you for European football at this point in the season?
Oh, not very. I think it's putting it lightly, not very. I think it would have been, I still think it would have been a difficult task if Everton had won against Sheffield United. to be quite honest, I think, with the amount of chances that Everton have missed throughout the season, especially at home, but even away from home as well. I think that Aston Villa draw was a bit of a missed opportunity as well. Would have liked to have taken 3 points out of that one, but yeah, so many missed opportunities at home. I think just made it far too difficult, and this latest one is, I think, probably just put it beyond Everton really. And I think, to be honest, going on the home form this season, I don't think they really deserve it because I think even if Everton did get European football, it would take a monumental collapse from somebody else for Everton to be able to somehow wrangle their way in there. And do the players really deserve that reward for how bad they've been at home? I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I'm not necessarily hopeful. I'll say that.
Yeah. I mean, that's completely fair enough. I'm normally quite optimistic. I thought, if we won last night, we had a real chance. Bearing in mind, Spurs still have to play Leicester this season. I thought we generally had a real chance. West Ham almost didn't get a point against Brighton. It was kind of looking rosy for a moment after that 3 points against West Ham. But at this point, I think it's beyond us. I don't think we'll beat Manchester City on the last day of the season. I mean, we can hope maybe they're just looking ahead to the Champions League final, maybe looking ahead to the Euros for many of them. But at this point, I mean, what more can be said? But it is now at the point where, maybe you just throw the dice. We've seen a lot of players come in and out of the side this season, but the side has largely remained the same without injuries. But we've got a couple of players that could potentially come in. I mean, how many changes do you want to see? Do you want to see a bit of experimentation now? Do you want to get? I mean, you mentioned in the last video, get rid of that 5 at the back. I mean, hopefully as soon as possible. And is there anything else you really want to try? Because I feel at this point in the season, we normally, if it is over, it's like, give the youth a try. But Branthwaite's at Blackburn, Sims is at Blackpool, Anthony Gordon's at Preston. It's like, who's really left to come in other than, Fabian Delph, who I'm actually just not majorly keen on seeing again, to be honest.
I mean, potentially the only young player I could see, maybe making his return is Niels Nkunku. I think it's a little bit weird that we haven't seen Niels Nkunku for so long. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing him come in on the left wing and seeing him partnered with Luca Dean down that left flank. I think that would be quite nice. Depending on fitness, I'd like to see Yerry Mina brought back into the defensive line, because I think he's probably our most consistent centre back, I would say. I think he's probably our best performance centre back. So I'd love to see him partnered with Godfrey for this one, just to look ahead to the future. Tom Davies has got to come back into midfield for me. I want to see a 4-3-3, essentially, because I think we probably ditched that at the start of the season because of injuries in the end. Just injury issues meant that we had to switch it round, and we've never really ended up back at it, but for some reason. But I just don't see why we don't do that now. I'd like to see just a flat back 4, have Tom Davies be in that sort of defensive sort of role, almost in that midfield 3, and have both Alan and Abdoulaye Doucouré just being able to free roam almost, and try and support that attack a little bit more. I wouldn't, as I say, I wouldn't be as opposed to seeing Nkunku. Does that mean Richarlison gets dropped? Probably. Yeah, maybe. I think at the minute, with the form that he's in, he could probably do with just a little bit of time on the bench. Maybe come on as an impact sub against Wolves if we need him. Maybe have him completely fresh for Man City if we need him there as well. So yeah, just try something different, change things up a little bit. I think Nkunku especially, he's somebody that at the start of the season he obviously looked raw, but he was excitingly raw. If you get me, like he was He was picking the ball up. He had loads of skill. He was great at getting to the byline and getting crosses in. Like, we just haven't had that throughout the rest of the season. We just haven't got wingers who are able to do that. It's not Alex Iwobi's game. It's not Bernard's game to be able to do that. They always want to try and drift inside and cut inside and create chances that way. I think Nkunku just provides something a little bit unpredictable that sides wouldn't really know how to defend against. So why not just give him another go? See what happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. But I think the main thing for me is just to switch back to a 4-3-3. I think that's probably going to be our best formation looking ahead into the future. So I just don't see why we wouldn't set up like that for the last 2 games of the season, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I think I want to say tactical change. I think our only problem is, and my only apprehension as to why there might not be too much experimentation is it's just not mathematically off yet. And if you are Carlo Ancelotti, you still have to put your strongest side out at the end of the day, whatever he thinks that might be. But you mentioned Richarlison there. It's got to the point where, he doesn't really deserve to be in the side. It seems daft saying it, but he hasn't offered enough for weeks now, and it just depends who will come off the bench, because we know that our squad depth, it's not in the highest quality, but now it hasn't kicked on for him at the end of the day. Iwobi's been poor, especially after, calling out Carlo Ancelotti on a Snapchat story or whatever. Very bizarre decision from him to do that. And it's just got to a point now, it's like, Richarlison's not playing well, but he was coming in from, Nkunku would be, I'd love to see it. Sadly, I just personally just can't see it happening, purely because it's just not off yet. It would have helped if we had a slightly better goal difference. We might all still be sat here slightly hopeful, but we know it's worse than both West Ham and Tottenham, and European football really just seems off now. But the fact is, it's not mathematically off. It's not like last season where we wound up in 12th and it was just a very disappointing end. We're just at this point now where it's, well, for me anyway, just get to the end of the season. I'm tired. I'm tired of domestic football at the moment. It's just seemed like non-stop. I don't know about you. It just seems like non-stop for the past, season and whatever the end of last season was. And I think everyone just needs a break at this point. And it just seems like the players are looking for that as well. It's not enjoyable to watch. It hasn't been enjoyable to watch for quite a while. But obviously fans back. We could talk about that very briefly. Fans are finally back in stadiums. Hopefully this is just the last time we never see fans again. So how much of an impact do you think that'll make? Do you think it's going to be, a positive atmosphere, a negative atmosphere? What do you maybe expecting?
I think it's no doubt going to be a positive atmosphere.
Yeah.
I think, and it's going to have a massive effect. Like it's so weird trying to describe what it's like in a stadium without fans there, because it's just a completely eerie experience. And it's, you'd think that like going there every week you'd get used to it, but you just never really do get used to it. It's still just absolutely dreadful. I hate going to Goodison when it's just it does just feel soulless and dead, and you could tell the difference that 2,000 fans made in those games in December. Like it was incredible the amount of atmosphere that just 2,000 people could create in those matches, which I think was absolutely amazing. It was a real surprise to me, to be honest. I wasn't expecting that amount of noise from 2,000 people, but to have now 6,500 people, and I think that the most interesting thing about it is that they've got all 4 stands as well. There's going to be people in all 4 stands. I think it's going to be able to create a bit more of an atmosphere in that sense. So I think it will be a positive. Obviously, the home form has been dreadful, but it's going to be a positive atmosphere. Fans have absolutely they've really missed being at Goodison, haven't they? And I think just that positive feeling of finally being back with their friends and family or whatever, and being back in their seats at Goodison, I think that's certainly going to I think that's going to take over more than anything else. So fingers crossed that's just going to be able to push the players on and spur them on. Somebody like James Rodriguez, for example, hasn't played in front of Everton fans ever. Like he was injured when there were 2,000 fans available. So hopefully that might finally be able to give him the appreciation that he deserves. And the players will absolutely love being in front of the fans again. So fingers crossed that atmosphere can pull them through. I'm much more confident of potentially an Everton victory against Wolves than I would be in a behind closed doors circumstance, certainly.
Yeah, definitely. And that is probably the only positive we can take. If we do get that win, though, if we pick up 3 points, someone else drops points, that's just going to be a laugh on the final day, isn't it? I mean, that's just going to be hilarious. I mean, we've all been down and out for the past few weeks. West Ham game, we all get dragged back in again. Absolutely put down last night. Very disappointing result, but anything's possible in football. I think it was Ancelotti that said that. 3 points against Wolves. I mean, who knows? I mean, problem is with that is going to be City's trophy winning, trophy lifting ceremony at the end of their game. What was it? We played Leicester a few years ago, didn't we? Obviously, just got battered in that game. It's not going to go well. But as our manager said, anything is possible in football. We don't necessarily know what's going to happen. It's going to be. It's 3 points against Wolves. It must be just for the fans at this point, not in terms of European football. It's just what the fans deserve. First game back, and then hopefully next season everything just improves. We get more fans back in the grounds, and then we all just have a bit of a break as well. But that does pretty much just bring us to the end of this segment. Adam, thank you very much for coming on. I know it's not the most ideal of circumstances, and thank you all very much for watching. Be sure to let us know your thoughts down below. Are you particularly confident for the Wolves match? I mean, let us know if you are going to the match as well, and how you are going to receive the players. I hope there's a positive atmosphere. There's going to be a couple of loons, obviously, somewhere that aren't going to be particularly happy, but that doesn't matter. Let's get to the end of the season now. 3 points against Wolves, as I mentioned. Who knows? Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. Be sure to drop us a like, comment, subscribe, and join us next time on the Toffee Blues.